Miss Beth, would you bring my book, please? I'll walk right by it. Those of you that would, we'd like to start with an opening prayer. Andy, would you lead us?
Lord, we come to you this morning, not just me, but everyone in the room. We lift up Craig Oates to you. We ask for healing and a speedy recovery. We need his presence and guidance for Freestone County. We ask for peace, comfort for his family. We leave it in your hands and know that you know best. Amen.
Amen. Please don't miss the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Posting according to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code is amended, known as the Texas Open Meetings Act. Any members of the public who wish to speak shall each have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Judge Grant. I'm not going to take 5 minutes, but very quickly I'd like to introduce myself. I'm not just a man dressed in black. Neither am I a Catholic priest, as I was asked walking over here. I left my white collar at home. My name is Curtis Burton. I am the new boy on the block at the Fairfield Recorder. I am a staff writer. I'll be in charge of the news. And so I wanted to introduce myself and simply give a call. And so this is Curtis. Hopefully you will remember this beautiful face and answer whatever questions I might have. And that's probably, may I come to lunch, may I come to dinner, or something like that. I do want to serve this Commissioner's Court in a positive way. I've been at this job a long time. As you can tell, I've been here a long time. And I changed my philosophy a little bit about reporting. I know there are times we have to report unpleasant things. And I'm more into positive reporting. And when you see me in here, that's what I'm looking for. So if I may give these to you, so you can send your invitations out to me to eat.
We're talking about positive reporting. Do you think you could talk to some of the people in the higher up government and talk to them about maybe a little more positive reporting?
I wish I could. I wish I could. Thank you so much. It's very nice meeting all of you. And anytime you want to talk to me, come on this.
Thank you for coming.
May I have a card? My husband's the director of the library. He'll be contacting you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Grant. We have a continuing problem with this noise issue, and we still have a federal law that states what the limit is, and no one is implementing that. Not even the state of Texas, the state attorney general. He has made a misinterpretation of the law. We need to ask Governor Abbott to have that rescinded. That can be done. So we've got people still, not just me in this county, but I found several others that are being harmed. It's hard. Anyway, I would request that we include this on our next agenda to discuss this and see what we can do. We've got to address this. Too many people being hurt. So consider that, if you would, raise this noise issue and the rescinding of that House Bill 1818. interpretation from the state attorney general. This is not just Freestone County. I've written a letter to all 27 county commissioners who have a problem with the noise issue. There's 27 counties with more than 1,000 gas wells. Freestone County is number 8 in the state of Texas, the number of gas wells, at 3,058. So it's a major issue. It's got to be addressed. And one of the things I'd like to address in the discussion is having the companies put a noise barrier around their facility. In some of the other counties, they have let them do that. We need to take action.
Anyone else? All right, if not, we'll go to item number 1, which is to approve the minutes. Let me just, for information, say that the Commissioners Court may not deliberate or take action on any item that is not posted. Any discussion of the subject must be limited to providing specific factual information. So if we have someone that comes during the comment section, that's the only thing we can talk about at that time if there's a factual issue that we can deal at that time. Which is why I think Mr. Morgan is asking for it to be on the agenda so that there could be a little more discussion. Is that correct? Okay. We'll go to item number 1, which is to approve the minutes of the March 2nd regular meeting and the March 2nd special meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, aye? Any opposed, none, motion carried. Item number 2 is to consider the purchase of a massive Ferguson four-wheel drive tractor through the buy board of Precinct 2. And this has been in the works for a while, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Craig had the information and asked for it to be on the agenda for us to go forward with.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried. Item number 3 is budget transfers and amendments. We have a list of 2022 budget transfers. Item number 4 is to approve and pay the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bill.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Item number 5 is to approve the payroll.
You see that I sent down?
Yes, thank you. We have one on here for admin time. What day was that? Do you know? Could you
It was like the 23rd or 24th. That was what was on her time sheet, so that's why we reported it. No one else had that.
Okay.
I think we need
I
a
believe
really
it-
good, written out, concrete definition of admin time.
Okay. We'll talk about that.
So did other people get admin time for that, or they come to work, what happened?
I don't know.
We all came to work, but apparently Cinnamon gave Jamie an admin day because maybe she lived so far away and we didn't know what the weather was gonna do. It was the day it was supposed to snow and sleet.
All right, then we have a motion on the
Make a motion to pay the payroll.
Second.
table. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Item number 6 is reports. We have an auditor's report for February. We also have the treasurer's report for February. I have a report from Sanderson Farms. We had done a tax abatement agreement for Sanderson Farms back in 2013. And as part of that, for that continuing abatement, they were required to certify that they had a total of at least 60 full-time jobs at the property. And they are certifying that. That was in 13, and I believe it was for, let me look, I believe this year will be the last year. the agreement was signed in 13.
What was the original abatement, amount of abatement, percentage wise?
That'd be 10 years.
At what percent?
Well, I'm just saying, if we did it 13, this
Well,
would be
I was gonna say, the agreement was done in 13, but the abatement time doesn't start until the facility is put into production.
Okay.
So 16, I believe, was the first year, and it was
It's 5,
5. and
20,
It started out at 90% for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and then 2 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years at 90%, then 85%, and the last year, which is 22, and 80%. And that, I think that was on the building only, I believe.
is that why it's showing the improvements to the facility?
Yeah. Actually, I'll keep this right here if you want to look at it before we file it. And then, but anyway, 22 will be the last year, just this year. JP3 report for February. The auditor's, the county clerk's report for January. Tax office, February. County clerk, February. District clerk, February. AP2, February. Extension. For February, it also gives you the this one, it just gives the meals program. Any other reports? Then you want to give a report now, or you want to wait till we get to
I
the...
can wait.
Okay. Anyone else? Any report from the elections? Hallelujah, it's done. Start on the next one.
We only have 7
May 7th. Do we have a motion and a second to
On the report? Not on this, not on the report.
we're on number 6? No? Okay, so we're
Right.
on number 6.
Make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Motion carried. Item number 7, burn down.
Fire chiefs and everybody have talked, they recommend just go ahead and taking it off because there's no enforcement back in the fire departments with it. And people are still burning, trying to hide it, causing more problems for us. So they recommend taking it off so that if someone burns, we can handle it then.
Motion?
Make a motion to take the burn ban off. What he has had gotten about 3 phone calls from some of the fire chiefs, and of course they were relaying information to me what other fire chiefs were agreeing, and a lack of enforcement was brought up in all 3 of those phone calls. And it's just sad that there's people that don't use common sense
Imagine that.
for the burn bans on or off,
That's
and they run it for everybody else. And,
Mhm.
but at the same time, one of the chiefs who told me said at least right now, the soil is dry enough that they can chase them fires and not get stuck. And if we start getting a bunch of rain, and then we lift the burn ban, and the pastures are wet, if fires still get out because the wind's blowing or still dead grass, then they can't chase them, so that it might be
I
better
thought about
opportunity
that.
right now to put them out.
Makes sense, though. All right, do we have a motion?
Yes, so I
You second. You have the motion and the second.
Yes, Lloyd
Great.
made the motion.
All in favor, aye. So we'll,
I think a lot of the problem on the burn ban is people knowing if it's on or off. I mean, I get called, is the burn ban on? Yeah. You know, radio, but they don't listen to radio.
or look on the website.
Look on the website.
Well, I go with,
It's on there.
I
We put
couldn't,
it on there.
I couldn't look at it on the website, y'all think that.
So, yeah.
Check email today.
I didn't get my email. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to comment.
Well,
I mean, I
if
don't
we
know
could
how.
think, if we could think of a better way, we could get quick, and some people don't look at the paper, so there we go.
Well, you know, they asked me this week, I didn't know I was moved from 3 to 1, and I said, well, put it in the paper. And she said, I haven't bought a paper in years. So,
Well, there you are.
there you are.
Yes.
So,
Easiest way to explain it is just say that the fire chiefs decided through the emergency management person came and represented us and said that
Yeah.
they'd rather for it to be off than they'd had for it to be on.
there you
Is
go.
that correct, Leonard?
The burn
Yes.
ban is off, it's lifted, so if you'll
Lots
send
of
that.
people will be excited.
Yes, they will.
And you're going up,
Lots of
well,
smoke from now to the weekend.
Yeah, we'll be smoking. All right, we go to item number 8, road use agreements. Do we have any? No action. Item number 9, to approve bonds and education certificates. I have one for Daniel Ralston for 20 hours for the professional designation certification on property tax appraisal. That's the only one I have. Does anybody else have one?
I have one.
All right.
did I give you mine last time? You wouldn't know.
Do you remember?
Yes, you did, because it was on the minutes of the meeting.
I had one on Craig,
That's right.
I had one on Craig,
Mhm.
and, yours, Beth.
Yes, that's only 2 I saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could it have been before?
It'll be in the box. It'll be in the box.
I think I looked this morning, it's not, in there. I think I turned it
I may have it. And it may be, I'll have to look.
You want to run look?
in. No, that's fine.
We'll do it next time. All right. We have one for Lloyd. Then also for, this is successfully completed the continuing education provisions. All right, we have a motion to, and one for Clyde, same thing,
Okay.
successful. Do we have a motion to accept reports?
I'll make that motion.
I'm sorry, education certificates.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Motion carried. All right, item number 10. Discuss disposing of 2 Enduro file cabinets at the county clerk as part of an Enduro recycling program. You want to give us a little
That would be me.
info on that?
Yes. We purchased a new plaque cabinet, to preserve our subdivision maps and all the maps that we have. And in doing that, they will, deduct $1,000 from our bill if we recycle the old cabinets that we have. We have 2, they look like 50 models, 2 old metal cabinets. And the way we recycle them is have someone to pick them up and haul them to the scrap metal. And they get the receipt and bring the receipt back to us, and then I send the receipt to this company showing them proof that we recycle those cabinets. And, so that's what I'm asking to be approved, if we can recycle the old cabinets.
But we have to have, it has to come through the court to dispose of those.
But they'll give us $1,000 off of our bill if we do that.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. Motion
Get
carries.
Steve to haul, man.
Huh?
Get Steve to haul.
Well, no, there's a man that I made contact with. His name is Bruce Jones. He picks up for several people, and he said he would pick it up and dispose those for us. Now, if we want Steve to do it, we can just have Steve do it.
Also, what do we need to have in there? Are we gonna sell it to the scrap metal place, or what are we going to?
Yeah, they'll give you a receipt.
We'll take it down there and weigh it and
Mhm.
do it, and they'll
We
give you a
do
receipt,
scrap culverts
get you a receipt,
Right,
and
but
then
do we
they'll,
need something
Now, we
in the
take the
motion
money to
for
the-
that?
to the treasurer's office.
The motion was to dispose of it. Is that
Well,
sufficient?
the whole thing, like, what, not just dispose it, but just how we're gonna dispose it.
All right, so we need to make a new motion, another motion then. We already have a motion to dispose of it, or we could add it into the motion that we have. To dispose of it by taking it to the
KG, man.
recycling. Is that part of your motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that part of the second?
It is.
Okay.
All in favor?
I have a question. Do we need to have Steve, a county employee, do that? Or can we get someone, I
Well, I
mean, do
would
we
think-
need to get
I
someone?
would think if we were gonna get someone else, they're gonna at least either want to keep the money for them, when they turn it, when they do turn it in, or we'd have to pay them to do it. I don't think they're just gonna come and do it on their own for.
Yeah.
will they fit in the back of a pickup?
Possibly, at least one at a time will.
He
We
can go
can-
down and get a
That's
trailer,
Yeah,
he can go down and get a trailer and put it on the trailer, and carry it out there to K and J Mill, and they'll run across there, weigh it, unload it, and then they'll give you a ticket, bring it in this, and then tell them, make the check out to Freestone
Freestone
County.
County.
Yeah, that's what we do.
okay, that's
Yeah.
what we'll do.
All right, then we'll go to item number 11, an amendment. Number 1, to the agreement for Vanguard Records Management and Imaging Systems for the county clerk.
Okay, this is our, company called CoFile that manages our land records and other records in the clerk's office. And then we cash out through them. In our budget, we budgeted last year for $84,000 for CoFile. And when I came in, I thought, boy, that looks high. Let's see if we can renegotiate something. So that's where we are. This is the amendment on that. And they came and met with us, and what they are agreeing to do is to reduce our monthly bill, which is roughly $7,000 a month, down to $5,100 a month. And then also included in there is their microfilming. They charge 5 cents per page. Like when someone files a document, any document that's filed and microfilmed, they charge 5 cents per document, which on an average is $150 a month. That's added in. They're gonna waive that, so that will be free from now on, the microfilming. So roughly that's $4,950 a month that will be charged. And then we still get our 50 cents on the dollar revenue for people that purchase documents online. So roughly, what that amounts to, we have already spent about $40,000 with CoFile for the first 6 months of this budget. The next 6 months, we'll spend, based on this contract, about $26,000. And that's gonna be a savings just in 6 months of about $18,000 for this year. Now, we're in a 5-year contract with them, and that ends next year. Once this budget year's up, we have 1 more year on the contract, and we'll save about $31,000 next year on this. Once that contract is up, the reason this costs so much is that we've been leasing all the equipment, and there's 12 pieces of equipment at roughly $600 per month, per item that we've been paying. And at the end of this contract, they're going to give us all that equipment, so we won't be leasing it. We're gonna take on indexing all these documents. We can do it in-house. Other counties do it. We're gonna give it a shot. If it's too big of a headache, that's part of the preservation covers indexing. But we can,
Right.
yeah, a special fund. But Anderson County, Kaufman, I've checked with several, other county clerks, and indexing amounts to $1,000 a month that's added in on this. It looks fairly simple, you just gotta be very precise, correct, and we'll have, it'll be another step added when someone files a document and you're at the end, and you put this button that says index, and then you put in the grantor, and you put in the grantee, and, you know, it's how you would search for a document, that information. Then, at the end of the day, or end of the next day, you have a backup person that just proves that that person entered it correctly. That's the procedure the other counties are doing, it's just a check to make sure you're doing it correctly, because it is very important. So, anyway, that's where we are. They want to do business with us, they're willing to reduce the cost. Now, at the end of this contract, by us doing the indexing, they said that could make our monthly cost between $3,000 and $3,500, because we won't be leasing the equipment at that point. But while we're in this contract, it's gonna be $5,100 a month, no charge for microfilming, and we'll be able to save the next 6 months, about $18,000 by doing that. They had a kiosk machine, was one of the 12 items for people that could come in and, like, if they wanted a marriage license, they could enter all the information. But if they're gonna come into the office, they would rather just walk up to the counter and have our girls do it for them. So that
People
machine.
can do that online.
And now, yeah, we have that where they can do that online, and people are starting to use that. So right now, they're giving us that computer, and we're having it, where you mount it like a desktop. And we have purchased a scanner, a flatbed scanner, and so we're using that computer and a scanner, and we're fixing to start scanning our old documents, starting in 1959 and working our way back. And we'll be indexing those. All of this is supposed to take effect April the 1st, the billing, and like I say, we're waiting on them to come down, hook our computer and scanner up, and train us on scanning into their system and indexing. So we're fixing to start scanning over where our vitals, that little nook where we have our birth records and all, that's designated for vitals, but we're not on it, 100% of the time. So it can be scanned from also. So we'll have 2 stations. One full-time, that can be used all the time. This one, they may get bumped off if somebody needs a birth certificate, but that's our plan. And that's the amendment on this contract. It's from $7,000, $5,100, no microfilm for now. So I was real pleased.
I think it's great, does a good job,
Thank you.
Looking forward after that contract's up, that's gonna be about a $48,000 a year savings.
Yeah, and I was surprised that in this 5-year contract, they were willing to do this. because it said in the contract the money was not negotiable. But they want our business and we want them, they do a good job, you know, so.
Now, the cashiering part, is that something you're looking into as far as what net data provides?
Yes, only for the case management part. We have the 2 cashiering systems up at the front, and that's CoFile. Alicia's been working with CoFile on their fees. We're checking into net data to see what they do there and if that's something additional to their contract. That's an option, but in the meantime, net data have their fees in there, correct?
Yes.
But in order to use CoFile, also has set those case management fees. And I think that's been the issue. I hope that is straightened out now.
Yes, that's all straightened out.
But in the meantime, we're gonna, Karen and I have talked about that. I think net data, it's a matter of them probably putting an icon on the computer and we can cash out through them. To me, that would just be more simple. You wouldn't have to, net data has set the fees anyway. And you wouldn't have to go through CoFile, get net data to set fees, get CoFile to set fees to make sure everything's correct. So yes,
You'll be looking at that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. All right, do we have a motion
I'll make that motion.
to amend the agreement? And you'll put the rest of the words in there, yes. We have a motion and a second, all in favor, aye. Motion carried.
I'm at the free mark.
They're all saving money, huh?
This is number 12, is a memorandum of understanding between E-Recoding Partners Network and Freestone County Clerk.
Okay. It's e-recordings, and that's where, it's through CoFile, but they select the most, they select 3 companies that we will use. And that's the 3 in the agenda. And these are the companies that are the most used.
Okay, so it's E-Recording Partners Network, and then is that 13 and 14, are they the same things?
It's
just
the
3
same
different
thing,
companies?
just different.
Okay.
It's a MOUs, memorandum of understanding. It's not a binding contract. It's free for us to have. And what it offers a national electronic recording service to function as a trusted third party for title insurance companies, attorneys, mortgage bankers, full service banks, and other trusted entities to submit electronic documents to government entities for recording. And we have set up a checking account. Jeannie and Allison set up a checking account specifically for e-recordings. So these 3 companies, their client will be the attorneys and whatnot.
They can choose which company they want to use. But we have to have
these 3, they choose whoever they want to use. They'll submit, if they have something to be filed, they'll submit it electronically. And then, of course, we do our thing and send it back. That money goes through these 3 companies and will be direct deposited into our bank account that we just set up under e-recordings. Yeah.
Do you want a separate motion on each of these? Number 12, the memorandum of understanding between E-Recoding Partners Network. Do we have a motion on that?
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Number 13, electronic recording procedures between Freestone County and Simplify LC.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Item number 14, memorandum of understanding between Freestone County and Corporation Service Company.
This is just the third of
It's the same,
Okay.
yes, it's
I'll
the
make a
third
motion.
company.
And will you second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. All three were motions made by Lloyd and seconds by him for your motion, for your
Okay.
minutes.
Okay.
And Judge Grant, no 1295s are needed for any of those.
Yes,
So-
since it's just a memorandum of
Well,
thank you for looking at that ahead of time for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were running through hoops yesterday.
Item number 15, consider an agreement for microfilm storage. We're gonna pass that one, we still don't have a 1295. So it's no action on number 15. And for for 12, 13, and 14, the motion was made by Lloyd and seconded by Andy.
Okay.
On all three.
Okay.
And item number 15 is no action.
Okay.
Item number 16. We're gonna pass this to next time because Jeannie is not here and she's really more familiar with all of that. She's on vacation, so we're gonna pass that to next. Item number 17. I don't have the information in my little book here. Would you see if you could find that for me, please? On the number 17, the 2 tracts of land, little tracts. Actually, yeah, we talked about it last time. We have a picture and everything you can look at. Let's go on to item number 18, we'll come back to 17. 18 is to approve agreement between Hot Dog and Freestone County in regard to transferring and receiving equipment purchased with the state and our federal grant funds. All right. Would you like to talk to us, Leonard, about that?
So that agreement is just a MOU with them. Hot Dog applied for a radio communications grant. I guess it was last year, maybe the year before, as a region grant, so that, and they got 8 handheld radios and 8 mobile radios that were given to us. All we have to do is sign this saying that we agree that we'll follow those grant rules on maintenance and care and tracking and reporting back to Hot Dog every 2 years, the condition of those radios and everything up until that grant time is up.
And this is a memorandum of understanding for those terms,
Yes, ma'am.
for that equipment.
So do we need a motion?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Maybe for one thing, but just because.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about while you're here?
Yesterday, I got an email for a Region 6, our region, to participate in an exercise. It's called a PIN 2 Flood. That's a new app that the state of Texas Emergency Management and University of Texas in Austin has developed. It's a 3-year program. It's a new app they're going to be putting out late next year, possibly. It's something that they're asking 3 jurisdictions to participate in, and 3 fire departments within that jurisdiction, or law enforcement or something like that, road and bridge, that would want to participate. What we do is pick a day here, April, May sometime. That's the timeline they give us. And we come in, talk about the app, how it works and everything. Then everybody goes out to the flood areas in the county that is participating. They go out to those areas, they get right next to the water, the edge of that water. They drop a pin. The app, when that pin is dropped and it's saved, the app creates a map showing the floodplain in that area. So that they're trying to work out the bugs and different things like that in it. and see how to better develop it before they push it out to the first responder sector and stuff like that. I did.
Well, our floodplain maps are very, very outdated.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I think that would be a really, a big benefit for our county if we could get those updated.
Yes, ma'am. So, I told them that we would like to participate in it, if that sounds good with y'all.
Sure. Sounds good. Any questions? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 19 is to approve the investment policy for Freestone County. Ms. Karen, would you like to say something about that? I think what the main thing was we had to do an addition, isn't that correct, for the
Fund 84,
Fund 84, which is the
American Rescue
Mhm.
Fund.
Mhm.
That's the only change with the policy.
All right. And the policies and requirements are in it, that are in this investment policy are all by statute. So, would you like, do you have any comment that you'd like to have, Allison, to put in for us?
No, ma'am, just that fund.
Just adding that,
Mhm.
and it's the same policy that we
Yes,
did.
ma'am.
And I know that Jeannie had reviewed to see if there were any changes by statute required, and there were not.
Correct.
So do we have a motion to approve this investment policy? Which we can make a copy and give to you. It's the same one that we've used, just made minor changes through the years as required by statute. And if anyone else would like to be on the committee, I know there's a 3-person committee that is on the, if anybody else would like to be on it, like to volunteer. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the
Who's on
investment
it?
policy?
I'm committed out.
Who's on it?
Karen, Jeannie, and me.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have a motion yet?
Not yet.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, aye? Motion carried. Item number 20, and basically what we do, I mean, we have a policy that says how we can invest the funds and what we have to go by. And so that's basically what we do, is manage when, you know, we have most of our funds coming in at the end of the year. So we do try to put those into CDs that will stagger to be able to be used as needed. And look at all of the rates throughout the county when we do that. So. All right, item number 20, consider allowing Christina Clay to opt out of county insurance.
She works for the sheriff's department and she is currently covered under other insurance. So
And we don't have enough that have opted out that it would affect our,
we're still within our numbers.
within our numbers.
Yes,
Make that
ma'am.
motion.
All in favor, aye. Motion carried. Item 21 is to consider the replat of September Sound lots 1 and 2 into a final plat lot 1R.
I have all the information for that, and I think that everything's been taken care of, as far as I can tell. And so I would recommend that we approve the replat for September Sound, lots 1 and 2, and the final plat, lot 1R. I'll make that in a motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Motion carried. Item number 22, we've been discussing these American Rescue Fund, the American Rescue Plan Act funds. We have visited with GrantWorks, and they are trying to get someone that would come and talk to us about the issues that we have. And they're going to let us know when they can come, and we'll have a special meeting. All right. Any comments from Commissioners Court members?
Southern Oaks had their chili supper last Saturday night and had a large crowd and a really big turnout, and it was really good. Big lots of folks. Standing room only.
Standing room only. I hear you had a good auctioneer, huh?
Yes, ma'am, and we did, and he did an excellent job. Jim Davison did an excellent job. He really did, and they bragged on him. I mean, the guy, fire chief called me and said, you know, without him, we wouldn't have made near as much money. I mean, he can do it.
Good, good.
Make sure to go back to number 17, Judge.
Oh,
Now,
thank you,
yes.
yes. Yeah, there's a little stuff here. All right,
Thank you, Karen.
thank you. I'm gonna roll right on.
Right on that parking lot.
Would've been out there before we could gather back up. All right, there's a deed dated May the 6th of 1990. Do you wanna talk about?
No,
this?
ma'am, go ahead. I
All right, I'll
was
just
going
put-
to
I'll
follow
just
up
read this
with
part.
what, any questions?
A deed dated, well, May 6, 1919, and then there's that conveys a .25 acre of land as a 6-foot right-of-way to Freestone County. And then there's another deed, May 8, 1919, that conveys a .27 acre tract of land, and this was from Oscar Johnson to the state, thank you, Beth, and to the county, rather, for a right-of-way, for a road, a state highway that was to be built in Teague. But the state highway was never built. And so we have looked at that. It's a very narrow strip, 60 foot wide, and it's through some people's property that I don't even know until they started to sell it that they knew that there was this 60 foot right of way. And so in the statute 272.001, it authorizes us that narrow strip of land, if it cannot be used independently for any county purpose, to be conveyed to the abutting property owner. So would you say we have?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. It's similar, luckily, we just dealt with, I don't know if y'all remember, but Craig and I dealt with that Doney situation where there's some defunct alleyways going through some people's property, and we had to kind of finagle giving that land to them so they could get electricity to their property. It's kind of similar. It's a little bit different, falls in a different statute, but same concept that basically there's this defunct alley right-of-way easement going through these people's land that nobody really was aware of until they tried to sell it. And yes, ma'am, I think that statute covers us to convey that land to I think it's just one landowner. Am I right on
I
that?
think so.
It's just that's what makes it easy with the statute. If you had multiple abutting landowners, you'd have to
Figure it out.
parse that land in equal portions compared to what the abutting landowners own. Does that make sense? So it'd be percentages and very complicated. The good thing for us is there's just one landowner that owns the abutting property to the easement. And it also gets us out of fair market value language in the statute when it is that abutting landowner and it fits certain criteria, which this does, when it's an easement or an old right-of-way, things of that nature, like Judge said, that can't be used independently for a county purpose, which I think this clearly falls into that category based on the way the land is
It
set.
shows it 20 foot wide. Shows it 20 foot wide, 210 foot long.
Which precinct is it in? Whose precinct?
It's in Teague,
It's in the city of Teague.
in the city of Teague, on the loop. How many foot wide?
I think it may fall into, that's a good question, Clyde.
Because
I don't
it
It'll be
know.
real close either way.
At one
It's on
time,
that side of 80, it's on the TIG side of 80.
Oh, no, this is an alley that goes through here. That's
one
just an
time we
alley.
got some.
But this-
some
This
track
is,
lanes where we all that's it.
They didn't see it?
I don't know.
Wow.
well, it was 1919, and so nobody ever picked it up before. You know, it's divided into tracks, but I think the same person owns those.
Story.
Judge Grant, do you remember back some years ago, whenever we got, minerals from, some land that the county,
Railroad?
I'm not sure where it was at, but the county owned, we got minerals from that.
I think we get
is that,
royalties from time to time, don't we?
Yes, ma'am.
is that from that property?
No,
Okay.
You could stick a mineral reservation in there,
well, we haven't done that yet, but.
I mean, we can.
Whatever you,
Yeah.
what I
We
do,
should.
whatever y'all want to do, however y'all want to do it.
Not a bad, not a bad idea. And that's more y'all, I think, that whichever direction we want to go, we can make it work. You know what I mean?
I think it's just a service that we're interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion, we approve the transfer of those two tracks, as long as we
Reserve.
put a mineral reservation in
Second.
the deed.
All in favor, aye. Now, any other comments?
Tires, give y'all a tire report, that the due dumps.
Let me give you your tire report first. No, you go ahead.
The two trailers from Hot Top are sitting down there full right now. Called those people yesterday because we estimate that there is still enough passenger tires to fill up one more trailer, 53-foot trailer. And we're estimating that there's roughly 200 big truck tires still there, not counting the tractor tires and big equipment tires. So I asked the girl up there what it would cost if we were, you know, if this wasn't through Hot Top. And she quoted me $3,200 per trailer, meaning they'll deliver, we fill it, all we can put in it, regardless of the size of the tire. They'll take passenger tires and truck tires, no equipment tires. And so, it looks like, and I'm waiting on a bid from another company for the same thing. But it looks like it's gonna cost around $6,400 out of pocket to get the remainder of those tires gone. And once we do that, I think we need to look back at our disposal fee that we're charging now. And I'd say that we keep that money separate from the household waste and have a fund so that when tires pile up, we've already got money in the bank to get rid of them. Just looking down the road. But right now, 2 full trailers and we need 2 more.
So you're still looking into that, and we'll come back then.
I was just gonna get another quote on it to make sure we couldn't get any cheaper, but,
Okay. That's just for information items, we're not taking.
right, I
action
just
on
let
that.
y'all know where we're
All
at.
right, anything
Looks
else?
a lot better than it did.
Any comments? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make this motion.
Second.
Adjourn.